BC finally has a cautious timeline for getting back to normal.
The provincial government has decided to reopen, and the reopening will be broken into several phases. Here is a look at BC's reopening timeline and bring on the May-long weekend. Beginning in mid-May and onwards, you can host up to a half dozen guests. Surgery and medical services like dentistry can also resume.
The same goes for salons, restaurants, low-contact sports, parks, and childcare services, but only with safety measures approved by WorkSafe BC. Schools will also attempt to offer some part-time in-class learning again for students.
Then, from June to September, and only if transmission rates remain low, hotels and theaters will also be allowed to carefully reopen.
Yet to be determined the reopening of nightclubs, bars, and casinos. Even more distant, and only after wide immunity or effective treatments for COVID-19, the return of conventions, concerts, live sports, and international tourism.
CTV's Binder Sargent begins our coverage.
Premier John Horgan delivered a reopening plan that leans heavily on a social contract.
We're not prescribing to British Columbians who they interact with and how they interact with them.
The strategy expects everyone to wash their hands frequently, increase cleaning, and to stay at home when even slightly sick. The targeted reopening about a week away.
It won't be the flipping of a switch. We're going to be proceeding carefully, bit by bit, one step at a time.
If case numbers remain low, elective surgeries will be rescheduled. Other health services will follow once their guidelines to keep people safe are signed off.
We're looking at the middle of May. You know, if things continue to go, if we're doing the same things that we're doing in the next week and a half, you know, by the long weekend is the time that we will be able to go out.
Schools and daycares may see more kids in class. Any increase would be gradual. There are no specifics.
We're not anticipating any increase in class teaching until well after the May-long weekend, but Minister Fleming and I will be having more to say about that.
Other industries will be able to reopen with additional precautions. Like in grocery stores, expect to see barriers, reminders to stay apart, and increased cleaning. The hope, the unemployed can get back to their jobs.
400,000 British Columbians out of work. That's a big challenge, and it's going to take time to absorb those workers back into the economy.
400,000 people losing their job is a tremendous shock, but by far the best thing we could do is to tackle the virus. And so I think that the Premier has made the correct decision to put that first.
That will be key, the economist says, to restoring consumer confidence. He also thinks paid sick leave, which the provinces want Ottawa to cover, is badly needed.
Now the tension is, right, with things beginning to reopen around the May-long weekend, ideally we would want that in place.
Borders will remain closed and the new normal will only last if case numbers remain low.
If we lose this discipline, everything that we've worked for to this point will be lost. We need to get it right.
So, Binder, we heard there the province says some students could return to classrooms part-time this year. So what else do we know about the plan for BC students?
Yeah, and attendance will be voluntary, and K-12 students, when arriving at school, would be asked how they are feeling. Dr. Henry says she doesn't think temperature checks are in order. She doesn't find them very useful. And once inside, they would have smaller class sizes and the desks would be spread out a little bit further. When there are group activities, rather, children would be asked to wear non-medical masks. And, you know, when it comes to cleaning, that will be increased. There will also be more hand washing. But specifically what schools and when things might open up, well, that is information that we are waiting to hear from the Education Minister, and we're told that and a lot more is coming in the coming weeks. Scott?
All right, Binder Sargent with the reopening highlights tonight. Thank you, Binder.